Eric, Dr. Gamer. I'm back.
How's it going?
Good! So you play on your university team, eh?
Yes, I do.
Which university? Just so we can dox you real good?
Shriner University.
Shriner University. Nice.
It's in Texas, close to San Antonio.
Oh, it's right in Texas. Hey. You a Dallas Fuel fan?
Outlaws.
No, wrong answer. You're banned. Bye. Okay, nice knowing you. Okay, so what's the next VOD on the list? Okay. Well, now I've got to be extra hard on you because you know what they say about Houston Outlaws fans? They're all mentally damaged.
I'm the one who screams really loudly at every match.
Do you want me to kick you off my stream?
No.
Okay. So let's get into it. So you're saying that you have a really good understanding on every hero, team comps, decent awareness, okay mechanics. You like studying the game? You like watching? What makes you say that you know a lot about the game?
So I watch a lot of content about Overwatch, and I feel like I know what every hero's sort of role is.
Sort of role. Is that doubt I hear? Is that doubt I hear in your voice?
It's a matter of execution.
It's a matter of execution. This is fair. You can know a lot about the game and just be completely incompetent.
Mechanically, compared to where I was when I started playing, I feel like I've improved a lot. It's still not where I need it to be.
Okay. So this game, is there any specific thing that have you watched this VOD back yourself yet?
Yes, I have.
And what did you think of it?
I actually just recorded it tonight.
Oh, so it's fresh in your mind. Tell me a bit about it.
Yeah, so really it was just sort of a matter of our team never really came together and pushed as six.
That's the team's
fault.
But
I don't really know how I can sort of make that happen in a solo queue environment.
Did you try comming? Are you somebody who kind of uses comms quite a bit?
I do a little bit. I try, especially when I play Zenyatta, I try and call out discords and stuff like that.
Okay. Any other stuff you work on calling?
Not really, just low HP targets, really.
Just low HP targets? Okay. Is there any reason you picked support?
Because I liked playing Lucio, and I like.
What about Lucio makes it a fun hero?
Because he can wall ride, which is pretty cool, and also I just like booping people off the map.
Okay,
that's about it. I just like his speed and his.
Okay, well let's stop delaying. Let's see how bad Houston Outlaws fans actually are. So 50 FPS. Are you capped at 60? What's the kind of... You're really low FPS here. Is that kind of a limitation on your system? I assume you haven't capped it. Is it just this bad when you're recording?
Honestly, I'm not really sure why. Normally, I have pretty good FPS.
What do you consider pretty good FPS?
Like around 60. The music voice. I'm not sure why it looks that low quality. It didn't when I watched it back, to be honest.
Okay. Let's see what we got. So what's our composition going to be?
Yeah.
Man, I need my chill glasses back.
And some Lucio-O's.
Okay, what's your composition? So you've got Lucio, Ana, McCree, Doomfist, Hammond, and Reinhardt. So when you look at this composition, what do you see?
I feel like the Hammond and the Doomfist, they need to sort of initiate the fight. Okay. And the Hammond needs to create space. I think eventually our Hammond actually switches.
Okay.
But they're the ones who need to sort of go in and try and get an early pick. And then the Lucio can speed boost in the McCree and the Rhine and the Ana.
So the Lucio is going to be speed boosting in the Reinhardt, McCree, and the Ana? That's what you're saying?
After the Hammond and the Doomfist, they sort of make the initiation.
Okay, so you're thinking that the Hammond is going to go in with the Doomfist, so that, you're going to sit at choke, your Hammond's going to grapple in, your Doomfist is going to, uppercut size, use his abilities, just go at the general. direction of the opponent, and after that, you are going to use Lucio on speed to bring the rest of the team and close that gap as quickly as possible, right?
Yes.
Okay. Fair enough. Let's see how it goes.
Attack commencing. Capture objective A.
They have a Bastion.
So right here, during this like kind of initial poke phase, what's your game plan here? What's your game plan?
I'm hoping we can. I'm hoping we can kind of like, I can speed boost the team in, and try and start building up ult charge.
Speed boost the team in on amp, on speed.
Yeah, amping speed.
So you're going to amp the team into the opponents, and then the purpose of that is going to be building ult charge.
Yeah, just sort of poking and trying to either get a pick or get some sort of advantage, positional or otherwise.
Okay.
Like if the Doomfist or the Hammond could go up to the high ground after the choke.
See, amp on heals there.
Yeah, she's behind us above.
You're with your tanks now. Things are trading back and forth, and you're just kind of like backing out here. So you've told me two different plans here. The first plan is something that was like really quite detailed, and is something that would happen in something like a pro setting or a team setting, even in like GM or top 500. That level of coordination with like Hammond's going to swing in, Doomfist is going to initiate, and then we're going to speed in afterwards. That level of initiation doesn't even happen in GM and top 500. That's stuff that you would talk about in like a review session, plan out, know where the Hammond is going to hook and like what areas that he can go after. And the other thing is that also kind of plan would also require you to know what the opponent is running and where the opponent is located. So unless you're like, you've got these really, they're not the greatest plans in the world, but they're not the worst. You've got plans and they might work in gold. Who knows? But you're not, so you've got these plans on how you think the game should be played, but you're not communicating these plans to your teammates, and you're just assuming that they magically know what your game plan is here. Is that kind of correct?
I mean, I don't ever try and assume that my teammates are going to be.
But you also don't try and tell them what your plan is. Like, you seem like a mastermind. You know what's going on. You're a man with a plan, but it's such a good plan you want to keep it to yourself. Fuck all those teammates. They're gold plebeians. They don't deserve your knowledge.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yes. Fuck these gold plebeians.
I don't want to like come across like I'm a know-it-all or anything like that.
That's fine. It's not exactly what being a Houston Outlaws fan
they ended up
screams
running
to
a
me.
Bastion, so it was like, it ended up kind of being a bad game.
Okay, so it's just a bad game. You write it off. You get better teammates next time.
No, like I didn't really. I feel like in this game I didn't really. I didn't really be as aggressive as I should have been, and I kind of stuck to our Rhine too much.
So you wanted to be
and
more.
I should have gone with the teammates who were being more aggressive.
So now we have redefined victory from this really intricate machine with interwoven cogs and wheels and spinny dingle doohickeys, and we've reduced our place in this game down to sticking to our Rhine more and being more aggressive. I like this. Let's see how it plays out.
Yo, it's so winnable.
Yeah,
they have a longer spawn. Should push.
Healers down, 2 healers down, go.
Your Doomfist, great comms.
Orisa 1.
Pounding in that damage.
Is this D.Va? Bastion's back.
You just got taken out by the Pharah there. Hey, you've got 5 golds! You are better than your team. God, your team is trash. Your team is absolute trash, man. You've got all the golds.
You guys want to go in? There's a Mercy down.
Reddit Lucio main right here, right?
On the right
Yeah.
side. He's coming through. He's actually running.
Yeah, your Doomfist is doing great communication so far. I like it. Interesting that the Pharah is in there.
Having
Okay, so what else
I
are
don't
you
have-
kind of noticing at this point in this VOD?
Farm.
we're kind of like not really avoiding their damage as well as we should be, and
No,
they're
no,
just
no,
sort
no.
of
You just got to
farming.
stop there. So you got to stop there. You got to stop there. So these are, we're not avoiding their damage. Period is a statement like we're dying, or we're losing. That's kind of those are the symptoms, not the problem. Like that is the result of something going wrong. It's the same way when like GM teams, they will always say things like, let's force trance and then do this. But they just expect is there a button on your keyboard that it's like, it's the force trance button. We just got to press that one. So there's not a button on your keyboard that says stop taking damage. So that's kind of the result of your mistake. But what is your mistake?
I don't know.
That is a perfectly reasonable answer. Okay, let's keep watching.
Good steal. Thank you.
Okay, so this is going real bad. This is going real bad. Let's go right back to the start and kind of redefine our thinking. So this is your team composition. You've got your Lucio, you've got your Ana, your Hanzo, your Doomfist, your Hammond, your Reinhardt. This is your composition. It's honestly not that bad for gold. You've got the absolute pick machine that is Doomfist. He's going to go in and just fuck people up. You've got a shield. You've got a sniper with a large amount of damage. You've got a Hammond, a really survivable tank. You've got two big beefy tanks, but you've got an Ana to keep them up. And you've got Lucio. So let's simplify things. I think the first problem is you're too smart for your own damn good. Okay? So you're overthinking things. The game is simple. GMs are mortals, okay? Like, have you seen how bad low GM players actually are? They're fucking trash at this game.
Yeah, man. I watch Red Shell.
Yeah, he's awful, right? Nod say yes. Nod say yes.
Yes.
Yes. Everyone is trash at this game. Absolutely everyone. GMs are not these, like, brilliant just savants who just communicate telepathically with each other at the start of the game to be like, okay, we know that Hammond and, doing all this, like, crazy initiation shit. Okay? So, if you were going to pick one person on your team to help out, who is it going to be?
Doomfist.
Try again.
Ana.
Okay. Why Ana?
Because supports, if tanks can't always peel for the supports, so the other person would be the other healer.
Rephrase that. Slow it down. Make it simpler. Why do you help your Ana?
She has low mobility.
What else?
I don't know.
Okay. Who else? If the Ana is dead, who do you go to help out?
A Reinhardt.
And why do you help your Reinhardt?
He's the main tank.
Okay. This is a let's just force trance button. Yes, he's the main tank, but what about him being the main tank makes him worth your time? What about being a Reinhardt earns him the right to your assistance? You are better than these nerds, okay? Why should you help Reinhardt?
He is the one who creates space and the initiator of
What does that
fight.
mean? What does that actually mean, though? Stop using big words. Use as simple words as you can. Why does a Reinhardt benefit from speed?
I mean, if you can get him in there and he can melee, just swing his hammer around.
Just swing your fucking hammer, right?
Yeah.
Hammer is not
W
a ranged weapon. He needs to get right up in people's faces, And damage is about like how long you spend it. So if you can close the distance farther and get your Reinhardt onto targets, it also means that shit can't run away with your giant German dude with a hammer. Nobody can run away from him. It's a nightmare for the opponents. There's this big German guy who's like, Reinhardt, glory. They can't do anything. They're just like this giant lumbering German man chasing them down. Okay? So you protect your Ana because your Ana provides a lot of value to your team and a lot of healing. And she's also a character with not very much mobility and is very vulnerable. So that's who you protect primarily, is your Ana. And then your secondary goal is if your Ana dies or if your Ana does not need the protection, then you can shift to a more aggressive stance and go and help out your Reinhardt and speed him around because your Ana is under no threat and will continue to heal your Reinhardt while he beats the shit out of everybody with his giant German hammer. Does that sound like a pretty good plan?
Absolutely.
Step 1, protect Ana. If Ana doesn't need protecting, speed giant German man into people so he can hammer people in the face. Fantastic. Great plan. It doesn't need to be super complicated. If you were like a coach or an analyst and you wanted to kind of talk about what the role of each 6-person stuff was, sure, fantastic. But this is ranked. We need to go with the lowest common denominator. We need to make plans that don't require the participation of our teammates. And we need to synergize with singular individuals where they don't really need our consent to receive our assistance. The Ana, you can protect that Ana whether or not she likes it. The Reinhardt is going to like it, but that's an entirely different thing, and you can just speed him around, or if he gets into too deep of shit, you can speed him out and make it easier for the Ana to heal him back up before you go back in, right? So, you can have super simple things, but this is one of the things that I talk about to Diamond players as well, is that especially like Genji players or Winston players, they'll try and do like everything themselves, and they'll expect everyone else telepathically to know what they want to do and to work at this finally, it doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. If you yourself don't pick 1 or 2 people to work together, you should just assume that there's going to be no teamwork on your team. It's just going to be how it is. So, assume that your teammates are idiots, and then force them to win despite their best intentions.
Yo, look how good this looks. Damn.
Push back.
You got fucked up by Pharah.
You guys want to go in? There's a Mercy down. There's a Bastion sitting up on right side. He's coming through. He's actually running. Did anybody good at Widowmaker?
Now, I know you're not playing the game right now, and watching a VOD, unless you were like specifically paying attention, is going to be a difficult thing to do right now. But my first question to you is, where is your Ana? Let's play it back 10 seconds.
You guys want to go in? There's a Mercy down. There's a
Sorry,
Bastion
the stream
sitting
is
up
on a
right
bit of a
side. He's
delay
coming
for
through.
me.
Oh, fair enough. Should hopefully not too much, but my point standing, I forgot to share screen with you. But regardless,
He's actually running.
you want to be paired off with somebody or working with somebody by default, and especially if you're a character like Lucio or Diva of something like that, you want to be keeping track of your teammates as well as scouting flanks in case somebody like a Doomfist is hiding around a corner.
Did anybody good at Widowmaker?
Chat has decided that your mistake was that you yeeted instead of yoinking, so you should work on that.
Yeah. You did well?
As far as in here with us. I don't have that.
This is good. You can protect your like you saw your mini diva in trouble. You were boosting over to try and save her. That was a good action. You kind of this is one of the things that Lucio is really good about is kind of peeling people, because not only can you do some pretty decent damage if you land your shots, but you can boop people away and then speed to help the person who's being attacked to be kite. You can get in the person's face because you're pretty tanky and you've got self heal. Like a great peeling character, absolutely great peeling character. You know, when the meta is Lucio Zenyatta, one of Lucio's main jobs is not only to keep the Zenyatta alive, but to die for the Zenyatta if necessary, because the Zenyatta is more important. The Discord is more important at like a 6v6 level than Lucio is. Like, Lucio's speed is very important, but if you are going to have one die, usually better to have the Lucio die. It was one of the things that was pointed out, I think this is one of the stories that's kind of shared about Wizard, is that, oh man, was it? No, I don't want to say it was Toby. Anyway, there was some statistics work that was done that figured out that one of the weaknesses of a Lucio player in the Overwatch League was that they weren't dying enough, that they were prioritizing their own survivability over the survivability of their Zenyatta. So, you know, that was one of the things that they changed about their team in order to get more value, is that their Lucio had to make sure that even at the cost of their own life, they were ensuring that the Zenyatta stayed alive. So Lucio and D.Va should be very selfless characters.
Steal. Thank you.
Okay, we're just kind of trickling right now.
Yep, you are trickling, but that's
them
basically
use
gold,
passive.
platinum, diamond, Overwatch. That's not going to
that's
magically
that.
disappear just because you got plat.
Bastion low, bastion low. How the fuck did you not get bastion?
Do you take first point?
Yeah,
Because there's a
we do.
We have
We,
Shatter.
we push it about a little over halfway on.
Oh, you use beat. Okay, let's
We
let's
have-
see how you use beat here.
All of our ults, basically. Okay, we have Bomb, we have Shatter, we have Beat.
we have
Yeah, that's
3
right.
out of the 6 of our ults.
We're gonna get a win
Alright,
for that.
I'm speeding in, amping speed in.
Okay, you're making calls. Beat, great. Bomb got 2.
Alright, nice.
That's it.
Winnable. Mora's on point.
So my first problem here is that Lucio is a character. If you're talking about Lucio's, like what he actually contributes to a fight, is that most supports are force multipliers. Most supports are force multipliers. In that you make your Reinhardt more effective because he can speed onto target and can't get kited. If he's booped or CC'd, that doesn't immediately prevent him from dealing damage. You yourself, your damage is just damage, and it can be very hard to actually apply your damage because you're a projectile, especially against things that have difficult hitboxes like Moira. So think about the difference in difficulty for you to hit a Moira as Lucio compared to how difficult it is for a Reinhardt to hit Moira. The Reinhardt's like, hurt, you hit it, and then on Lucio to shoot the Moira in the head, you're doing like integral calculus. So as soon as you beat it in, like your D.Va got 2 picks, which should mean that this fight is won basically immediately, and your Reinhardt happened to pin Mercy, but you, after the beat, immediately split off from your team and started trying to fight a Moira.
4 down. Come on now.
Didn't do anything. She fades away because she had fade in the first place. And then you roll away. They get 2 counter picks. So if you are going to kind of 1v1 some target on Lucio, it should be because they're very vulnerable and they've used any escape cooldown. So you immediately splitting off from Reinhardt is a really poor decision after you sped everybody in with beat.
Still winnable.
Yes, but you are better than a Diamond Lucio at this point in time, if this was 2 years ago.
It's just D.Va.
Don't be too hard on yourself, Jayne.
Watch out, they're gonna be coming back.
How you doing, Guru? Hope you had a great stream. It's sub-only mode, Guru, so I apologize for your viewers. We're having a nice chill stream with just subscribers.
Nice D.Va.
Did you have any
Yo, what's
questions
his
about
record?
this attack?
Any heals, thank you.
I guess our Rhine was really not being super aggressive.
Most Rhines until you get to Masters won't be. And then once you're in Masters, you're going to be pissed that your Rhine is aggressive. It's just how Rhines work. So unless you're kind of... The one time where you did actually communicate and say speed in and you dropped the beat, like, that's fantastic. He knows that he can be aggressive because he's got barrier on him. But sometimes people require verbal prompts and encouragement. I'm not sure if you've seen the W clip. I think it's like, is it exclamation mark W in my chat or something? There's a clip of me, I think, encouraging is the euphemistic way of putting it for my team to be aggressive. Yeah. Sometimes people need telling, and then some people just will hear the words and not react to it because maybe they think you're lying or that you're not really fully committed to it. But yeah, sometimes people there's a reason that things are repeated. It's usually 3 times. But if you repeat something, it's like, this is true. I want you to do this. I still want you to do this. It's like really important that you do this. People will probably get the hint. If you say it once, you're like, we should go forward. People are like, I'm not going to listen to a coward, especially a giant German man. What does he care about your opinion? Weak-willed, skinny spine frog.
Yeah.
what do we got here? You're chasing after Pharahs.
Oh, Diva's one. Farah's one.
And you're wall climbing. It is pretty impressive that as gold you can do these like corner wall climbs while kind of focused on one direction here. But let's talk about value. So as Lucio here, when you're wall climbing and shooting a Pharah, for example, how much value are you getting on Lucio?
Really none, unless if I get like an insane pick, which has never happened.
It's never happened to you. You're not funny, Astro. You can't 1v1 Pharmacy as Lucio. So even if you do land like all 4 shots and all 4 of them are headshots, she's being pocketed, she's going to be healed up, right? So this happens a lot when things like Zenyatta's, for example, get the opinion that they should 1v1 Widowmakers, in that the chances of them actually winning, you know, in that matchup, it's not as bad. That's probably a bad example. Kind of like Mercy's pulling out their pistol. No, that's not a great example either. But I guess one of the best examples can be like if 2 Pharahs are fighting. So if 2 Pharahs are fighting, we'll be flying people. Whee! Wings. So Pharah 1 and Pharah 2. And these Pharahs are pretty far from each other, right? And this is you. This is you, and this is them. You versus them. And this Pharah is shooting your tanks. Pew! 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 And you're shooting their Pharah. But you're missing, because you're pretty far away. This is a pretty common mistake, in that some people will try and force the engagement as Pharah onto their counterpart, whereas this Pharah can be like, I don't want to take that fight, and just like back off while still harassing your tanks. And as long as they have some sort of lines, they can keep harassing, keep getting value, and then you're like, oh no, and then you kind of try to actually catch up, but at this point it's too late. And then if you kind of get too distracted, they're like, oh, you know, while you're trying to get value on the ground, they'll just like float up to you while you're not paying attention, while they're shelling your tanks, get super close where it is easier to hit the rockets, and boom, boom, you're dead, and then they rule the skies and everybody's dead. So this is a pretty common thing that we have to coach Pharah players, not like pro players. Pro players know this. But in terms of like the Pharah matchup, it's this mind game about whether or not you want to force the 1v1. Because if your team is winning, you don't want to take the risk of losing the 1v1 and force that fight. You want to constantly focus on getting more and more value on the ground game. But if you're the Pharah who's kind of like behind and, you know, the battle on the ground isn't going well, you need to try and force that 1v1 with the other Pharah, take her out of the sky, so that not only do you not have to worry about it anymore, but your team is starting, like their resources have stopped being drained away by the hostile Pharah, and you're just free to just rain rockets on everybody. But in kind of like neutral matchups, there's always that kind of posturing between 2 floating Pharahs. Hiccups. In that neither one of them wants to like truly force the 1v1. They don't want to force a fair 1v1, I guess. But if in their positioning and posturing they can move around, if one Pharah, like if red Pharah realizes that blue Pharah is super focused on shooting the ground-based targets, they can kind of like, while shooting the ground targets, float around so they're above and behind the hostile Pharah, and then just 2-tap them and kill them. So it's this game, like when the neutral advantage is going on, it's a game of can you kind of make the other Pharah forget about you for long enough for you to close in and get the drop on them. But in this case, you're just doing literally nothing. So, you know, we were making the joke about you're just existing, but you may as well not be existing. You know, if you want to be a distraction for the opposing Pharah, I might recommend a more brightly colored skin, maybe some voice lines. But beyond distracting the attention of the Pharah, which a better Pharah will just basically annoy you unless they can get the frag on you, you're not doing anything.
She got healed. Having heals on you, Ryan? Oh, Orisa's purple. She's half, we can kill her. 1, nice.
Huge Pharah.
Alright, fuck me.
Unlucky. So there's a ton of wasted amps. Like, I know I talk about kind of Platinum being the place where you see most cooldown wastage, but you're beneath it.
Fucking Roosty.
Where do we want to start here? Okay. Now this is gold, so not everything works the same way it works at pro level. You've got 3 kills here, and their Bastion gets 2 from the high ground. Your Ana and your Pharah. So you've got 3 picks, so your team has killed 3, and then their team has killed 2. What does this tell you about what you should play? What are your immediate actions in a 4v3?
I mean, we still have the advantage.
Why?
But,
what is your advantage?
We have more people alive.
What else is your advantage? There's more advantages than just you're alive.
I mean, we don't have a main healer anymore because our Ana is dead.
Yep. So that's not an advantage, right?
Yes.
What is your advantage here?
I don't know.
What is the main thing that wins games?
I mean, capping the point.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the point is moving right now, right? So there's the difference between kind of like hard resetting, and Lucio is a really good character because he can actually decide decide decisively. He can decide when your team is kind of hard resetting, hard engaging, or at what point you reset here. Now, Bastion killed 2. You're kind of like in this point where no one really has any clear way to finish the fight. The Bastion's on the high ground, but you've got a Reinhardt, you've got cover, you're about to push around the corner where the Bastion's not going to have LOS. You're a Lucio, you can help people move around. You don't really want to go and taxi people because that would take you out of the fight. But because no team can very clearly win here, you want to try and get as much objective value as possible. So just kind of like sitting on the payload and trying to push, and then if things get bad, using your amp to escape would be really good to kind of get as much value as you can before you escape with amp.
Alright, fuck me.
So your diva's going up. It's not really the best thing ever, but you're standing like immediately in the open. So this is another thing where you have to recognize like what is your purpose? Does this engagement make sense? So far we've seen you attacking a pocketed Pharah from like 40 meters away. We've now seen you attacking a pocketed Bastion who has the high ground while you're in the open. And the other thing is that you're ADing, like your AD spam. So let's look at this. Look at your AD spam here. 80, 80, 80, 80. You see that? You're like going, let's look at this again. I'm just going to... And 80, 80, 80, 80, 80. So fast, so fast, so fast, so fast. I'm so fast. And if you AD spam that fast, your hitbox isn't actually going anywhere. It's staying in the same place. So there's just like a little minor correction, but it's actually better for you to do wider, longer strafes that are less predictable. It's still a Bastion, not a Widowmaker, who doesn't really have to be pinpoint accurate. It doesn't really matter if he only hits you with 4 million of his 6 billion bullets. He's still going to fuck you up. So best to just not take that fight. And this is like one of the things that you can think about. And Lucio, with his amped speed, can be very, very decisive about when you engage and when you disengage. And you can pick and choose your engagements pretty much at will. You can use movement with, speed and wall hops and all this to bring yourself and other people with you into engagements where the opponent has a disadvantage. And this is like why speed is such a massive advantage, especially at the pro level, is that not only from a 1v1 perspective can Lucio pick and choose engagements, but from a 6v6 perspective, Lucio gets to pick which team engages where. Like, have you been watching much pro play with like World Cup and anything of that variety?
Oh yeah, I watch a lot of Overwatch League. I did watch some of the World Cup.
So you know GOATs. You know what the GOATs composition is.
Yeah,
and you know how it's played, right?
I don't really enjoy watching GOATs all that much.
No, not a lot of people do. GOATs fun to play, not fun to watch. But okay, so what are the 3 main variants of GOATs? Do you know?
You swap out either Moira, an Ana, or a Zenyatta.
Perfect.
And then you keep the Lucio in the.
And you always keep the Lucio. Always. So how bad would Goat suck if you didn't have that Lucio? Hal Plays, thank you so much for the 5 gifted subs. How bad would Goat suck if you didn't play the Lucio?
You would just feed.
Why would you just feed?
Because you like goats, you don't have the damage to attack from ranged, and it just relies on you getting in the enemy's face.
And how do you get in that enemy's face using speed? So if the opponent is at a disadvantage, like if their Rhine gets low, their Lucy goes, oh, and then you're like, fuck you, and they're just raising their middle fingers and taunting you. And then when your Rhine gets low, he gets run the fuck over like a steamroller and dies like a little bitch, not a giant German man. He just dies. So Lucio is super important because speed controls engagements. You can pick and choose your engagements. You can force things on the opponent. Now, there is actually one point in time during the World Cup in which Zenyatta Ana Goats was played. Can you take a guess of when that was?
I don't really remember. I want to say probably China.
It was on Rialto, and it was Finland. When that team lost? Nope, that team won. Rialto, Finland. They played Ana and Zenyatta Goats. Why and in what situation could they possibly have done that?
Are you asking me or chat?
Yes, I'm asking you.
Okay.
I want you to use that big brain of yours that I know you have. And if I just told you that speed is absolutely critical to the GOAT's composition, under what circumstance did a World Cup team, Finland, who are not a bunch of idiots, play on a Zen instead?
On defense.
Nope. You're reading chat. Stop reading chat. They don't know either. You think the chat's smarter than you? You really don't have that much confidence?
Well, I'm sorry, what was the question one more time?
Okay, so at what point in time did Finland, or in what situation, even if Finland didn't play it, in what situation could you play Ana and Zenyatta Goats? Like, when is it okay to drop the Lucio? They used it to break a spawn camp. On Rialto first, it's a very common strategy in order to spawn camp the defenders. And Finland, in order to break the spawn camp, used Ana and Zenyatta.
Yeah, because you don't need the speed boost if you're
You
just
don't need the speed
spawn.
boost. You're in spawn, and Ana and Zenyatta has more value with the Discord. And Ana does more healing, has the Anti-Nade or the heal buff, has Sleep Dart, has a lot more utility. It has utilities in ways that speed doesn't. It's in the way that like Canada played Lucio Ana, is that Lucio was used when we needed to stay alive and we needed to move. We needed to control engagements or rotate or anything like that. But if at any point we could get away with it, Ana and Zenyatta provides more value. A great ultimate, much higher damage from Zenyatta than on Lucio, and Discord, which is something that you can apply to anything on LOS. But if you don't have anywhere to go because you're getting spawn camped, speed is not a utility that matters. So like in all other situations, then you are being spawn camped, Lucio is a better pick. So understand that as Lucio, you as a healer provide less value. Overall, on numbers, like on paper, in numbers, you provide less value to your team. You do less damage than Zenyatta. You don't have a team multiplier damage with Discord. You don't have the ability to prevent opponents from healing. The main and sole benefit that makes Lucio such a powerful character is speed. And you need to be able to properly utilize that speed in order to constantly pick and force favorable engagements. Have I melted your brain, or are you still with me?
I'm with you.
Okay. Do you have any questions?
I'm sure I will have a bunch.
Lucio is historically considered a main healer, yes.
I guess like if
I've got
fucking risky. If the Reinhardt is like not in like in this case the Reinhardt was in comms, but if the Reinhardt is not in comms, so like I can't call out like when I'm speeding or not, and he's not being aggressive, what should I do in that situation?
So there's things like you're amping right now in kind of like the middle of the fights, and usually I see amps as something that you need to use to tank engagements, survive them, or to start them. And you know, like constantly just wasting amp just for like generic healing is pretty bad. If you want to just kind of, if you want to use that healing, it's usually better on a team level to stabilize for a minute, or that just means kind of like take it slow so that your healing can catch up. Only in like you're although it doesn't seem like it, amp in most situations should result in either a kill or preventing a kill, like preventing a death. It's not a healing tool. It can be used as a repositioning tool, but probably not in gold. So you should be using speed in order to get an ally onto an opponent so that they can kill them, or you should be using amp or speed, depending on the situation, to prevent an ally from dying. Nod, say yes.
Yes, I got you.
You got me. Okay.
Alright, that's
I'm gonna go Zen so I can discord their Bastion and Pharah. Make it a bit easier to kill him.
And now you're on Zenyatta. Do you play Zen on defense as well?
You don't want the Mercy
Yes.
pocket with the res. And the right click that you can get the damage boost off.
Pharah's
Like
Discord
right click,
and-
you don't have a harmony on anything right now.
Orbs on you, Diva?
So I guess we'll kind of take this one step at a time. Why did you swap from Lucio to Zenyatta here?
I was trying to just sort of help deal with the Pharah a little bit more with the Discord.
That is a very good reason. I must say, that is a very good reason.
Alright, follow our run. Orbs on you, run?
You communicate a lot more on Zen than you do on Lucio. That
Just
sucks.
got melted.
But they had
Unlucky.
Supercharger. Okay, so that was way too little to get us like anything meaningful out of Zen. But I think because we went pretty in detail on the Lucio stuff, I think we're gonna cut the VOD here. All right, like we won't review the Zen part of this VOD just because we went so in detail on Lucio, and I don't want to start like an entirely new conceptual tangent with you. So I don't really know. I don't want to push you because I feel like I'm right on the verge of losing you. I feel like you've at least followed me up to this point, but if I feel like I push any farther, I might lose you, and I don't want to do that. So, do you have any questions? At what point did I say something, but you went in your head, but what about, or that doesn't seem right? What part of everything that I just said doesn't seem to cohere with what you experience in gold?
I feel like I was with you for most of that.
Mm-hmm.
Really. I think a lot of it is just like a lot of games in gold. Like I'll be the only one in team chat, so like I'm not really used to communicating unless if I'm like stacking with friends or something.
Yeah, and there is going to be, as you get higher, there are going to be situations that are, I was joking earlier about kind of the telepathic connection, in that, nobody really knows what you're doing unless you say it. But there are going to be certain situations where, like if a Reinhardt wants to go in, you can encourage that action with amped speed. So you can kind of, instead of trying to force things to happen, you can see teammates trying to do things, and then you can encourage it with your speed. You know, like an Ana doesn't need to communicate with you, and you don't need. So your Ana doesn't need to. It can, like if you're not paying attention to her. So if you have good awareness, an Ana doesn't need to communicate to you that you need help, and you don't need to communicate to an Ana that you're saving her, sort of situation. For example, if somebody is trying to run away, like imagine a Ryan is going in and swinging his hammer very, very aggressively, and it's not something that you needed to use speed for. Let's say it's an Orisa, right? So the Reinhardt went up to them, started swinging on the Orisa, but then the kill didn't happen because the Orisa had Fortify and Moira drops an orb, and that Orisa is getting just a fuck ton of healing, okay? And the Reinhardt's like, shit, I'm low. And he puts his shield up. What do? You amp speed and you get him the fuck out of there. You encourage and make the decision-making of your team more impactful. So don't try and be creative. Don't try and be original. If you are kind of Lucio and you're in a situation with no comms, try and increase your awareness of where your teammates are and what your teammates are doing, and then assist teammates who could use speed with your speed. Not all decisions and engagements need to be explicitly communicated.
That's a lot of pressure.
Yep. Competitive games are high-pressure situations. Did you have any other questions?
Prioritization of I mean, I know you said save amp heals for sort of a slow part of the game.
Mm-hmm.
But is there any situation where should I amp heals if there's say our main tank is really critical HP and the other healer is dead, then I assume that's a situation that I would.
Would that amp save your main tank's life? Yes. So you would use it there. Right?
Okay.
So that's how I want you to consider your amp. Consider every single time you amp and you didn't either save somebody or you didn't get a kill off of it because of that, you should consider yourself having failed, right? That cooldown is very important. It's a 12-second cooldown. Fights are over so fast. Some fights are decided shorter than 12 seconds. So that cooldown needs to be used to save teammates or kill opponents.
Okay.
Okay. I'm going to let you mull over what we talked about. Hopefully it changes your perspective on the game. But if you are going to change anything about your game, anytime you get into a 1v1, I want you to ask yourself, should I be fighting this? So you see a red thing and you fight it. I want you to, after you die, say, should I have taken that fight? If the answer is no, ask yourself, could I have avoided that fight? If the answer is yes, why did I not avoid that fight? Question every engagement. Is this engagement in my favor? The answer is probably going to be no in the majority of situations because you are a support and you should be looking to support other people to getting into favorable engagements.
This was pretty awesome. I'm not gonna lie.
Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it.
I hope I didn't try and fanboy out too much or anything.
No, it was you did great. Thanks for not a lot of people can handle being bitch slapped for an hour in front of 2,000 people. So thank you for being a good sport about the deal. I hope you keep cheering for whatever team you want to cheer for, even if it's not the Fuel.
I would say the Fuel are my second or third favorite team.
Good choice. Thanks, bud. Thanks for coming on. I enjoyed it. And let me know if you have any follow-up questions. Okay, I am out of there. Whew, that one got a bit more. I always get super serious when I have other people on the stream. It's so hard for me to kind of stay bubbly and happy and high energy. I just get into it. I really want people to learn when they're on comms with me. Man, sorry if that was a little bit boring or slow, but hopefully you enjoyed that one.